Are we on? Are we on? Welcome to Basketball Heads Live. I'm your host, Glenn Pooh Harding. And oh boy, tonight we have a very special guest. This basketball head is an all-city and all-metropolitan from DeWitt Clinton High School. Listen, he is a Bronx legend. 1977 PSAL City Championship MVP and one of the city's top officials as we speak. He started out his career at the legendary DeWitt Clinton High School, who holds the record for the most city championship wins with 18. I don't know if anybody topping that since my guy Tiny Morton retired, but who knows? This basketball head started out at high school, though, at Rice, another legendary high school, where he won the Catholic School Championship as a freshman. But after a family member's death, he had to transfer to DeWitt Clinton to continue his winning ways by going undefeated on his JV team, that is. And the next year, he was ready to go varsity. And we talked about his junior year, but they came up short in the city championship to Canarsie, who was one of the top teams in the country at that time. But next year, DeWitt Clinton got it together, and they stayed focused. And they went on a run to win the city championship in the PSAL, and then the Catholic school. You know how PSAL play against the Catholic school? We had to fight it out to see who the best in the city. Well, DeWitt Clinton was that. And back then, there was no state championship tournament up at Glen Falls. That came the year after. So they were definitely declared the kings of the city. Once he was done with high school, he attended Dowling College, where he won conference championships and also played in the NAIA national tournament. After college, this basketball head, and maybe this was during college, but I know he took a tour overseas and played in Finland, Sweden, Holland, and Denmark. So we're going to ask him that once he comes on the show. Once his playing days was over, he became one of the city's top officials, refereeing Division III basketball and 5 city championship games and a state championship final. So, without further ado, help me welcome to the show DeWitt Clinton High School and Bronx legend, Michael Napolitano.
Y'all ready? Yes. You have just stepped out into the world of chaos, where everybody goes hard. Come on. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Or go home. Never back down. You gotta hold your own. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. East Coast. Go hard. West Coast. Go hard. Midwest. Go hard. Dirty. Hurry up, everybody. Get online, buy your tickets, cause the game about to start.
Hey, Mike, did you hear my intro?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Because I'm like, I thought it was on mute. I'm like, nah, it can't be on mute. Can't go down like that. Hey, listen, brother, welcome to the show, man. Welcome to the show. Those of you that's on, on Instagram, come over and join us on YouTube. You know what it is, NYC Basketball Network. What's happening, man? What's happening?
Everything's good. I'm honored.
Listen, a lot of people don't understand, right? When y'all see guests on, it's not just a one phone call and they appear the next week. This takes months and months of planning and getting the schedules together. And we've been talking for a long time, Mike. And we finally got you here.
I finally found some time out of my busy schedule.
Listen, busy man. But New York City basketball, we got to keep the brotherhood and also the Sisterhood Alive, you know, and look, you done accomplished a lot of great things in your life. Very well connected up in the Bronx, and there's a reason why people revere you. And it's time that we give you your flowers and let you know we're proud of you, brother. We're proud of the legacy that you have accomplished and the things that you continue to do and give back to your community in various ways. So we honor.
Thank you. Really
Yes.
appreciate that.
No doubt, no doubt. So what I ask everybody who come on the show is, who introduced you to the game?
Well, I come from a basketball family. My two older brothers played ball, and they went to Rice High School, where I eventually wound up going. And I would say they were the ones who initially introduced me to the game. But my middle brother, Anthony, who played for another legendary coach in the Bronx named Richard Skinny Reed for Community Center 60, he asked Mr. Reed, where can I take my younger brother to learn how to play basketball? And I was about 7 or 8 years old at the time.
Right.
And he said, you got to take him to Mr. Ollie Edinburgh. Okay. Mr. Ollie Edinburgh happens to be a legendary basketball coach in Harlem.
Right.
New York City Hall of Famer, a Harlem Hall of Famer, and they have a park named after him. So, that's
where's that park? Where's that park located at? Let the people know where that park is located at.
141st Street and St. Nicholas Avenue. Yes, and he was the man who taught me how to play at 8 years old. He taught me the fundamentals of the game. He taught me about life, and I'll go into a little brief story about how I think he's the best coach ever.
Okay, let us hear it.
Well, when you're on his team, he, at the end of the season, he gives you the responsibility to be a player coach, a recruiter, a general manager, and you have to build your own team.
Right.
And each player, the 12 players on the team, gets their own team from the neighborhood or from their school, and they formed a team, and he formed a league called the Bird League. And that was for 12 and under. And he was a genius as far as recruiting younger kids. He got the pick of the litter from, if you get 12 players, 12 teams, you got 144 players to look at. And the league was called the Bird League. So he gave us leadership skills. He taught us how to be leaders. He taught us how to be player coaches. He taught us how to be general managers, managing the team, making sure the guys show up, bring their birth certificates, take the jerseys back from them, make sure they don't steal the jerseys after the first game, stuff like that. And he prepared us for life. And then when we became 13, he gave, when we were able to get our working papers, he gave us jobs either as bookkeepers, scorekeepers, or working for Parks and Recreation. So that's why I felt like, Mr. Ollie was the best coach ever. He taught us life skills. He taught us, how to be gentlemen. He even taught us how food etiquette and dress etiquette when you go receive your awards. We had to get dressed up really nice, suit and tie, and I give a lot of credit to him. He was one of the best coaches I ever had. Then by the time I was about 12 years old, I played for another coach that was mentioned in one of your broadcasts, Mr. Gardner Page.
Yes.
Who Rod Strickland and Ricky Sobers played for. And I played for him for a few years. And he taught me many fundamentals, life skills, pretty much the same as Mr. Ollie. And from there, it was time to go to high school. And my first.
Well, we're gonna get to there. We don't want to rush too fast through there. But look, coaches like Mr. Ollie, and we had Gil Reynolds down here, and a few others, Lester Roberts, Ray Haskins. But these guys were community guys who didn't have any big sneaker contracts, right? There was no big sponsors. They gave their time. This is why they're so important to us to this day. Their time and teaching us how to be men, right? Yeah. At such a young age.
Yeah.
So you coaches out there, you don't need a sneaker contract to teach a kid some life lessons.
No,
And it's more about what he did for you off the. See, like you remember a lot of things he taught you off the court than it was on the court.
He would send us the 2 cents postcard that he typed. He would send it to you with a reminder. Stay between your man and the basket.
Wow.
Fake the pass to make the pass. Make sure you come to practice on time. Whatever message he wanted to send to you, he would send it in a 2 cents postcard. Who did that?
Wow.
Whoever did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, you know, there were other coaches out there that I played for, but we'll get to that. But Mr. Ali, I had to give him his props. And there were other coaches that competed against him in that biddy league that I'm telling you about.
Right.
Millbank team, coached by Buster. Okay. Intercession team coached by Mr. Black. Stone Jim, I believe Honey Bun was coaching them. There was a menacing team. There were, you know, quite a few good teams. One Eye Sam had a team. And that's where all the competition was in Harlem. That's where I honed my skills. You know, and look at me. I'm Caucasian. I was the only white player in Harlem playing in any of those leagues.
Wow. That's crazy.
And I, you know, they accepted me. They took me under their wings. Since my father had died at a young age.
Rest in peace. Yes.
A lot of these mentors just took me under their wings. You know, like many of them. You know, Tiny Archibald, Floyd Lane, Miles Dortch, John Crawford. You name it. There were guys that were there for me. You know, so I have a lot to be, you know, grateful for, and this is the platform for me to thank all of them.
Hey, listen. Once it goes out, man, the whole world gonna hear it. At what age did you start to take the game serious? Like, when did it kick in to say, you know what?
Man, I slept with the ball at 8 years old. I was serious at 8.
Hold on. What y'all know about sleeping with the ball? Like this, putting your dreams, manifesting your dreams through this, right?
And I had 2 older brothers that were at Rice doing their thing, and they were 7 and 9 years older than me. So that was the, you know, I had something to look up to and look forward to playing. You know, so they were very helpful having older brothers also.
What parks were the parks to go to in the Bronx with a ball player, with a pickup game? We're not even talking about tournaments. Like when you guys went for pickup games, we were like the pickup games held there. That's what I want to talk about.
Well, there was a place, Webster PAL, that I was invited to play. That was like a late night run. Whoever was a baller usually found a way to go play there. That was one of the gyms. And then you had Clark Park, which is junior high school, 149, right across the street from Patterson Projects. And you had good run there all the time. That's where we all grew up at. PS 18, PS 149. Junior high school 149. And then all the parks, you know, you had Mullally, you had the Valley, you had 161st Street Yankee Stadium, St. James Park. I mean, I would get on my bike and just ride wherever the run was.
Listen, it was like a rite of passage, right? For you to go through the process, right? Because if you go out on the court and the bigger guys or the older guys are playing, you had to kind of wait your turn, right? And once you got in the court, you had to make them feel like you belong or they wasn't going to pick you anymore. And we know about the run back then. Hey, Mike, that run back then, you lose, go home or go to another park.
Yeah, you got to wait a long time, yes.
That's how crazy the run was back then.
And I ventured out into other neighborhoods. I went to Queens to play at the Left Rack City?
Yeah, Left Rack, yes,
I went to Staten Island to play at the Cromwell, you know, St. John's Rec in Brooklyn. You know,
talk about it. They don't know about Cromwell. I know they know about St. John's because they always talk about it. But Cromwell was legendary. Right?
I found my way to Staten Island. How I got there, I still if I caught a ride with some fellas to go ball, I don't remember jumping on the train and getting on the ferry to play ball. We got a car ride out there somehow.
Wow. All right, I got my guy Todd Rivero in the building. He said, tell him Todd Rivero from Full Court 21 says hello. All right?
Oh, I reffed in Full Court 21. That's my man Bobito.
Bobito, another friend of the show. Bobito's been in the show. I'll be uploading the show soon. Jose Perez. Mike, I'm watching all the way from El Paso, Texas. Shout out to my guy, Jose Perez.
All right.
Eric Kennedy, another, look. His New York basketball historian. Appreciate you. He yelled out the Valley. All right? And got Nate Harris in the building. He said, Floyd Lane, Miles, Dortch, Hilton White, true mentors.
They were.
Salute. Yeah, look at that. They're in the building.
Hilton White was the mentor for Tiny, and, you know, he turned-keyed it to all of us. You know, he always took the young guys under his wing. He had the gym.
Right.
Gym for us to run with him when we were home from college or after our high school season. He had the keys to the gym. We had Mr. Evans in that same gym, another Basketball Hall of Fame who just got inducted this September.
Wow.
So I had Tiny Archibald and Hugh Evans in the same gym.
That's crazy. How many people could say that? 2 Hall of Fame. First of all, you get 1 Hall of Famer from your neighborhood. You're like, all right, 2?
And these were people that always gave back.
Right. And that's so important because the kids need to see that. I was able to do that for my neighborhood, get the court remodeled, and then join the community committee, and we put on the league in Brevard houses, which, yeah, listen, legendary high school basketball tournaments here in Brevard, right?
I got a story about Brevard for you.
Okay, so we're going to get to there. And it hasn't been done in like 30 years, so we brought it back. So salute to my whole committee. It was a success this year. Tell me about your Brevard story, Mike.
1977 Gauchos team. We toured the city, played pretty much in every tournament.
Hold on. You a Gaucho alum?
Oh, you didn't know that?
Yo, bro, you didn't put that in the bio, fam. Like, come on. This is why we talking about legendary status right here. Go ahead, Mike, now. Go ahead. Talk your talk. I
got picked up. I don't know how I think I heard a podcast that was really funny by Rod Strickland that Rod Strickland had, and he interviewed Chris Mullen, and Chris Mullen, you know, they asked him about the Gauchos versus Riverside and how they pick their teams. Gauchos, you know, if you play good against them, chances are they'll pick you. Or
right.
If they needed somebody, they'll find you, you know. And somehow I think I played in the Mitchell tournament against the Gauchos and played really good. And right after the game, they took me and they said, we want you to play with us. And I think Angel Cruz had a lot to do with that also, another legendary Bronx guy.
Okay.
He was always in Lou Dalmada's ear, and he found a way to get me on the team. And that team, we went to Brevard, and we went undefeated. We just went through the tournament and took it.
In 77?
Yes.
I have an article that says Albert King and George Johnson dominated the tournament. And, you know, since Albert was the #1 player in the country, like I just posted this article the other day and I didn't see a mention of that. But if you guys came to Brevard and went undefeated.
We took Brevard. We came up short in the Whitney Young.
Wow. This is news to me.
We took quite a few other tournaments, invitational tournaments after the high school season up in Westchester.
So did y'all play against Albert King and Vanguard?
The Vanguard All-Is, that team I don't remember seeing because we went through the tournament undefeated. And I mean, I got the trophy. I don't have it. I'm not with it right now, but I got the trophy.
Right. So hold on. Go ahead. Keep talking, because
there could have been another division. We was in the high school division. Maybe Al and George Johnson, who's older, there was a college division. Maybe that's
in 77. Albert King was a senior, and he was the #1 player in the country.
Right.
And that was the year. And you guys won the city championship that year.
Yes.
Which is awesome.
Yes.
Definitely.
Well, one of our rivals did us a favor and beat Albert King and and then we wound up beating them.
Oh, that's what happened. Hold on, let me see if I can find this real quick. Look what it says. Bill Travis.
Okay, and that's an article about them winning the Brevoort.
Yeah,
It doesn't say division though. Maybe they were in a different.
It's what was it? It says Bernard King, News basketball all-star last season. His younger brother Albert continued to monopolize the headlines on local hoop action. Both were named MVPs in the Brevoort Sports Foundation Championship projects in Bedford-Stuyvesant. Yeah. So
All
I
right.
was.
All I know is that we won many tournaments.
Listen, and I listen. There's no doubt because listen, Gauchos is legendary. But I had to bring up this article because I just recently found it myself because I wanted to find out the history of Brevoort.
Oh no,
right?
without a doubt. And that summer we went to Puerto Rico and toured and played against some of the national, not the national teams, but some of the professional teams out there. And we wound up winning. We had a nice crew, and we wound up winning most of the games out there. Watched a few games, and then we came home that day and went straight to a tournament final in the middle of Harlem, where there were triple park cars, people standing up on the roof, hanging onto the trees and the fences. Unbelievable scene. It was the LA All-Stars, who's like the home team on Lenox Avenue, LA All-Stars right there.
Right.
And the Gauchos. And that place, it was an epic game. We wound up losing, but it was a great summer. That summer of 77 was the best.
That's the blackout summer, the summer of Sam. I remember. Now, just to go back, because, you know, I'm a Brevoort guy, so was it packed out there?
Always. It was the stadium.
Yes.
The stadium seating. You know, we were from the Bronx. We came over.
Right.
I never played out there. Never really knew anybody. Nobody knew who we were. Gauchos were just coming onto the scene.
Right.
We're like one of the first, traveling teams.
I always tell people if you from uptown and you came down to Brooklyn, you was official.
Yeah.
Because not too many people came. We had to go up there, but a lot of people didn't come down here. So you saying that, even Ricky Sobers mentioned that.
Oh no, you always had to go ready to play in Brooklyn. But I've had success out there, winning in the St. John's Recreation Tournament, citywide tournaments, winning, citywide. Citywide, you got to play against all.
That's right.
And
well, hold on for a sec, Mike. This is how we had a look in this year. Hold on.
Like Dykeman.
Okay, and that was high school. We don't do unlimited. That's
nice.
Definitely, man. So,
okay, congratulations on bringing it back.
Thank you, man. And it's all blessings to Basketball Heads Live, baby.
Sure some of my boys were reffing the tournament because I know.
Of course. Earl Robinson is our signer.
Okay.
Yes.
I know him well.
Yep, him in Arizona. Yep.
All right.
Yeah. So let's go back to the Bronx, right? Who was the best guy in the neighborhood that everybody was chasing? Now I know Tiny, right? He's the standard, right? But who was besides Tiny, who was the local guy that everybody was chasing? And when I'm saying Tiny, we talking about the legendary Hall of Famer Nate Tiny Archibald, standard for point guards in New York.
But in my neighborhood alone, we had, pretty decent or more than decent ball players. We had Russell Grant, we had Raymond Jones, we had Victor Kelly, all guys that Tiny looked for in the summers to seek them out, Angel Cruz, so that he could work on his game against shorter guys, faster guys.
Hold on. So when Tiny wanted to get his game straight, he sought out these dudes.
Yes. 4 guys. He looked for them every summer. Those names I just mentioned, Raymond Jones, Angel Machito Cruz, Keith Lewis, and Russell Grant.
Wow.
And they're all guys. And he had many others. He had Michael Lawrence, Mike Bright, a slew of guys that he loved to play with, and invited to the gym. That was his place where he invited everybody to come play. I remember Rolando Blackman coming from Brooklyn to play with us. All right,
another friend of the show. Yep.
And he seeked out guys in Brooklyn and Queens to come and ball. You know, I mean that's where the run was. And
Wow.
I was invited.
Come on, fam. Like you look. Listen, they already know what you brought to the table. You know, and to see you play, I watched the championship game. And the way you were maneuvering on the court and in control and led your team was so spectacular.
0 turnovers.
Hey, listen.
That was my 15 minutes, bro, right there.
you made it last forever because it's on YouTube and it'll never go away.
Beautiful thing.
No doubt, man. No doubt. So those 4 guys and Tiny, those guys were the guys that everybody was chasing.
I would say not everybody, but there were like dozens of others. You know, I mean, you name the school, there was an all-city player pretty much from our neighborhood or from the Bronx.
How about Tommy Henderson? Tom Rivera said.
Tom Henderson, 1970. He's my brother's age. He was. Hey, we all looked up to Tom as well.
Wow.
Butch Lee to this day mentions that, you know, he wanted to be like Tom Henderson and go to Clinton.
Wow.
You know, so you know Butch and Bear, those guys, they're legends, but they looked at guys ahead of them, and you know they wanted to, you know, go to the same school as them, following their footsteps, and I did the same thing pretty much.
So we want to talk about the CYO days because I had a couple of players from Staten Island, and CYO was still a serious thing in Staten Island, right? Where it kind of died down in the city. I remember playing in the 80s, and I know when you guys was playing, it was serious as well. Yes. How was CYO during the time you played, and how competitive was it before you started to branch out to other tournaments?
It was very competitive. I went to a parochial school, so obviously I played for one of the parochial school teams, and it was very competitive. They had archdiocese championships, and usually my team was either going to representing the Bronx and going to the championship, winning or losing. I mean, I got a lot of CYO trophies, so I must have won a few championships over the years playing, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. And I remember losing my senior year, my 8th grade. I remember losing to a St. Lucy's team. That was a little devastating at the time, but it was competitive, definitely.
Hey, Mike, I don't know if you noticed, but from what I'm gathering, you had this disease, man, like called winningitis. Wherever you went, you won, brother. You won. Like the track record speaks for itself.
Oh, there's some truth to that. My house was full of trophies. I mean, when you talk to the Marburys and any families of basketball players,
right.
My house had those trophies too.
Wow.
I must have surpassed 100. My brothers had like dozens. But then after a while they become, dust collecting and get,
they just getting away. I have trophies in the back. A lot of them broke, and a lot of them,
they break, and then you move, and
there you go. There you go. Yep. So
I held on to a few though.
Right?
Oh, the game over.
Yes. And I have to give this to Miss Brenda Caldwell. Right? I had my first year. I was blessed to have an awards show. Maybe I may bring it back. Once we get a little bit more sponsors, I'll bring it back and repay Eric. But Eric hooked me up, and we had Kenny Anderson Trophy over here, Kenny Hutchinson, all right, from up there. So it's a lot of ball players that we kind of honored. So definitely, man. And I'm glad we get to honor you tonight, brother.
Wow.
For sure. So CYO was definitely a prominent tournament that we came up playing in. It's Catholic Youth Organization, and it's still buzzing out in Staten Island. So salute to all my people out in Staten Island playing CYO ball still. Now, you moving on to high school as you talked about earlier. Let's talk about your transition into Rice High School, right? That freshman year, and then happen to go to DeWitt Clinton.
Well, when I went to Rice, I didn't make the team. I got cut. And I played in the intramural, which ran like the next day or so.
Right.
And the coach asked me, "How come you didn't try out for the team?" I must have got 70 in that game. Like Rice High School's a matchbox gym.
Right.
Go up and down the court, you're going to score at will. And he asked me, why don't you come and play for the team? And I said, well, you didn't pick me. So, and then he said, well, you could become part of the team. You'll be a manager. And I was a manager. I practiced with the team, but he never gave me a jersey.
Wow.
But I was part of the team, and I got the championship, being the scorekeeper, and that helped me become a referee because I keeping the score, keeping the books and the clock. I developed a rapport with the referees, and it kind of helped me, become a referee and also learn how the books are, run, And
Listen.
then that helped me work in the rucker. I worked in the pro rucker and in Mount St. Maurice. I worked for legendary Ed Warner, who was on that CCNY championship team that won the NCAA and the NIT. I worked for him over there.
Wow.
And that's where, I used to see Joe Hammond, Pee Wee Kirkland, and keep the books for all the games in the rucker. And, and then I wound up wanting to become a referee. And that's where pretty much, I learned how to, become a referee. But the Rice High School situation, it was great, but my father had died that year.
Sorry to hear that.
I couldn't really afford the tuition at the time. So, I went to public school. And I went to Alfred E. Smith. I went to Christopher Columbus. They were capped out. And they said, well, why don't you just go to Clinton? So I took a ride up to Clinton, and they accepted me, and the rest is history.
Now, you talked about Pee Wee Kirkland. I heard a lot about Joe Hammond. Even though I heard about Pee Wee Kirkland too, but I didn't speak to a lot of people who saw him play live, right? How good was he? And is all the stories true where he talked about how he used to score all these points and kind of handle himself up there against the pro basketball players?
No, Joe was the real deal.
Definitely. Now, I know about Joe. We talking about Pee Wee.
Oh, Pee Wee, I mean, Pee Wee had that rivalry with Tiny. That was like whenever they played against each other, the world knew about that. It just spread like wildfire. Everybody knew, and we all crossed the bridge to go watch those games.
So Pee Wee Kirkland was a bad boy like that where he could go head up with Tiny like that?
He always wanted to now, but, the outcome was a little different.
Okay.
You can hold your own, but, there comes a time when Tiny has to step it up.
Wow.
And how Tiny got to operate. He ain't going to get embarrassed anywhere.
I would love to see that tape. I would just love to see it, right? Just to see those guys in rare form.
And Pee Wee used to come to PS18 in the Bronx and ball with Tiny. They've had a long relationship as far as playing ball against each other.
Wow. So how was high school when you went to Clinton, during those turbulent years in the 70s? Like, what was it like? Because New York City was a different town back then.
It was all boys. But I was kind of used to it because I went to Rice and that was all boys, so it was no big deal.
Right.
But to see the many ball plays and the legacy and the tradition that the school had for sports. I mean, it was. I mean, I was proud to go to that school. I never thought I would make the team.
Right.
I go there thinking I was going to be on the team because I had seen games when Butch Lee had played, when Bear had played, Steve Shepard. And I was still short, and I was still 13, 14 years old, and I'm looking at guys that are 17 and 18. That age difference, you look and you see like, wait, these guys are too big, too good. And I would never envision myself to be on that level, but I worked hard and I got to that level, and I did pretty good. I had some shoes to fill, and I think I did all right.
For you to start out as a manager at Rice and pick up some skills, working the stat, and also understanding the game from watching it, right? Watching the referees, understanding the clock situation. I think a lot of kids take that for granted and don't realize there's so many other things you could do besides be on the court and play, right?
Well, that's definitely an advantage, and it works the other way, I believe. If you're a ball player and you become a ref, you know the game, you know what to expect. You pretty much can anticipate plays, and it's pretty helpful being an ex-ball player transitioning into officiating.
And then moving on to JV, right? You finally get your chance to play.
I made the team.
Right?
Mr. Epstein picked me. That was my coach, and I don't remember losing that my sophomore year. Then Mr. Wiles, who was the head varsity basketball coach at Clinton that year, he wound up retiring, and then Epstein took his JV team, and we moved up. He moved most of us up to varsity. So in my junior year, I played for the same coach I played for as a sophomore, and then I transitioned and played with him my junior and senior year.
Wow.
And, yeah, so I played for him, and he knew my game, and he trusted me with the ball, put the ball in my hands, and we made things happen.
Do you remember some of the other guys who was on the team, and what position did you play so everybody could know that information?
I can name off the guys. I mean, Mikey Edwards. My junior year, we had Mikey Edwards, Angel Cruz, Julius Allen.
Julius, another friend of the show. Yes.
All right. And Harold Joyner, Danny Diaz. We had a pretty good crew. I would say that game against Canarsie, if we had to run that game back, we might have had a better outcome. Sometimes you just want to get that run back, but it didn't work out. But
what was it about that Canarsie team? Like, let's talk about that for a minute. Like, what was it about them that made them victorious and undefeated that whole year to where no one could stop them?
I mean, that kid Curtis Redding, he did a number on us. Nobody could stop him. And Tyrone Latson, Tyrone Waiters in the backcourt, they were solid. They wasn't going to throw the ball away.
Right.
They were the floor generals, good players, all D1. And they were undefeated in national champs. So we had our hands full that game. But like I said, I think we matched up pretty well with them. It's just that we just didn't have a good game that day. But I learned.
That was I was going to say, because
I'm on the bench watching.
Right.
And I knew what it took to win that game and win the championship and go on and so that summer worked hard, got into the lab, played in all the tournaments, ran the tracks, jumped the rope, swam, rode bike, worked on my game and came back pretty strong my senior year.
So hold on. You sit a whole year at Rice, right? You're the manager. Go to JV, kind of dominate there, then go to varsity, and
I'm the third guard. I come off the bench.
Angel, there you go.
Yeah, which are the starting guards.
You still in a not in the driver's seat yet, but you in the back seat. Waiting your turn. Right.
At Clinton,
most kids quit when they're in that situation. They usually give up, saying, boy, I'm never going to get anywhere, and not knowing if you just stick around and be patient and work on your game, your time will come.
Back in the 70s, most of the time, players shined by the time they were seniors. That was their breakout year, You just pretty much had to wait your turn. There was so many good players in front of you. And if you was a sophomore playing, that was unheard of. If you was or make the team. And
talk about it, Mike. Talk about it.
Sophomores making the team, or even freshmen, but we had one every once in a while. Dexter Young played with us, and he wound up being a really good ball player. But now, I mean, I seen Lincoln. They had guys playing as freshmen and sophomore. You know, when you're Kenny Anderson, when you're, Telfair or Stevenson, you know, you might be able to do it as a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and become All-American. But that only happens, every 10 years.
Every 10 years. In 1983, my coach Bobby Harstein selected 3 freshmen. We were number 1 in the state. I didn't think I was going to make the team, and I, at the end of the cuts, made the team. But we was doing a lot of this until it was our turn. Luckily, I grew to 6'4" the next year, and I was able to move in the starting lineup. But again, we had the great boys and girls to get over, right?
Well,
that
junior year, there were about 8 guards.
Woo.
And I would say about 4 of them failed off. So that gave me an opportunity to get some run as a junior. And I played, he would give me run. I wouldn't sit the whole game. But I was like the 3rd guard. Sometimes he went to a 3-guard offense, and I played. But I wasn't getting the great numbers or even, putting myself out there to make All City or anything. But
listen, Ricky Sobers, right? People don't know. Let's even go back to Tiny, because Ricky Sobers, which I thought played for Clinton, never played, right? And Tiny fell out most of his years and only played 1 year high school ball. Go figure.
Well, Clinton was like that because, if I wasn't playing, there was going to be somebody right there, taking that spot. I had to work hard to keep my spot. Trust me.
You guys won 18 city championships with guys, great basketball players, falling on and off the team, right? And still able to win.
And there were many years that they could have won, but disciplinary problems, coach kicked guys off or failing off. That was prevalent back in the day. People failing off or getting.
Yeah. So now we move to the 1977 run, right? You worked your tail off to get to where you need to be. Let's talk about that special year and how the team came together after knowing what y'all went through the year before.
Yeah, that was great. It's ironic that our first scrimmage game was against McKee High School. We went out to Staten Island, played in some little gym against them, and we wound up playing against them in the finals. So we got a taste of who we're going to play in the final, our first scrimmage game. So that was helpful. And we lost maybe 3 games that year. We lost to Long Island Lutheran with Wayne McCoy. We lost to Taft with Artie Green. And who's the 3rd team we lost to? Oh, we went to Connecticut and lost to Wesley Matthews' team.
Was Artie Green the real deal? Like
the real deal. He was the real deal.
Y'all see how quick he said that? Y'all see how quick he said that?
He's the real deal. Now I respect him, but when we played against him, all that went out the window. You got to play him. You can't be scared. And he elbowed me, like get off of me. I stuck to him like glue.
Wow.
And we won that game.
That's amazing. Salute to the legendary Artie Green. Definitely.
We had a big rivalry, a hated rivalry, but 40 years later, we're boys.
That's dope.
The cool thing about basketball is the respect.
That's right. And the camaraderie that we build over the years.
Yeah, whether, rivalry or not, that's all out the window now.
That's right. Now, was that game televised? And tell the people where it was played, because, back in the 80s, we weren't playing that Madison Square Garden. We was playing that St. John's.
Well,
where were you guys? The city championship was held at.
Our journey that year, we went. For some reason, how we were seeded was kind of crazy. We were seeded where we didn't have any home games. We always had to go somewhere. We wind up going to Canarsie, okay? And we played Jefferson.
Yes.
Which is in the Canarsie area. And we beat Sidney Green and them on a tip-in. 3 seconds left on a tip-in. Now, if we don't win that game, we not city champs. So that was like, wow, that was a barn burner. We wound up beating them. Then we play a Queens team with Riley Clarita and Damien. I forgot the guy's name, but I think it was South Shore High School.
South Shore's in Brooklyn. South Shore's in Brooklyn. Was it South Shore? Or was it Jackson? Because Jackson's in Queens.
I'm trying to think what the South was. I think it was South
Shore. South Shore was pretty good too back then. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's still good. It's still good to this day. Yes.
And then we had the the semifinals against Taft. And that was the game where we beat Taft. And then McKee had beaten, I think, Bryant. They had Ron Player that played at St. John's. So, that was the matchup. The scrimmage game that we played, McKee High School against Clinton. And they were undefeated, by the way.
And where did you guys play? Where was the game held at?
Okay. Those games were held at St. John's because over the years, there's always been, riots at Madison Square Garden, with fights and stuff. So, there were years they had it at the Garden, and then there were years that they moved it to St. John's University.
And they kept it there because that's where we played in 1986 for our city championship.
Yeah,
and then the 90s come, they take it back to the Garden. I was like, yo, for real?
Yeah, I never got to play at the Garden either, but, St. John's is fine.
Yeah. St. John's is definitely, look, no matter where you playing at, right? Said you name the court, and we in a championship, let's do it.
It was a great experience. Then once we won the city championship in the PSEL, that year they had a Metropolitan championship, and they had the Catholic school team, Holy Trinity, who was coached by Bob McCullough.
Yes.
He's Steph Curry's coach.
Yeah.
So he was there at Holy Trinity at the time. He brought his team over and to St. John's, and we wound up beating them as well.
I had Andre and Jerry on the show.
I think I'm trying to think of the guy that was on that Holy Trinity team that went to North Carolina. Can't think of his name right now, but
is it Jimmy Black?
No, Jimmy went to Cardinal Hayes. I can't.
Oh, he went to Cardinal Hayes. Okay.
It was I think it was Doherty.
Oh, okay, yes, Matt Doherty, yes. And Holy Trinity, was that Long Island?
Yes, they were Long Island, but
got you.
They were CHSAA champs. They might have beaten Power Memorial or whoever that represented the city archdiocese. They played against the Long Island archdiocese, and that year Holy Trinity won.
All right, so you got MVP. Let's talk about that, Mike. Come on, you got MVP in the city championship.
I scored
no turnovers. How much did you score?
I had 26 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 steals, no turnovers.
Woo! Talk that talk, Mike.
I mean, that was my 15 minutes of fame. I got to remember my stats on that game.
That's right. It's going to last forever. And back then, there was no state championships back then. It came the year after. Mike just let me know. I didn't know, even though I saw the history books. It was what was it, 78 or 79? Because that's what a lot of.
I think in 78 they started the year after.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
And I that year they selected 15 players from New York City, both Catholic and public. They called it the All Metropolitan Team. They still have that. They have the AllMet College team.
Right.
They have AllMet High School. I made that AllMet team. They had the ceremony at, I think, what's that? Either at the Hilton Hotel or the New York Athletic Club, one of those places.
Right.
And Lou Carnesecca was the host speaker, and he gave out the awards. It was called the Converse All-Star All Metropolitan Team. And that was an honor because I saw Al King, like guys like that, the best players in New York, and I was part of that. Come on.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't believe it, but it was nice. Being
right. Okay.
And then
go ahead.
And then after that, I mean, I was selected third team New York Post. you know, that's big. When you get All City New York Post, that's like the best of the best in New York.
Right, right.
You know, and nobody from my team, although we won it, nobody from my team made first team.
Yeah, I see, guys. I see. Well, this is I think, let me see what all-star list is this, because they have a PSL all-star list, and you know everybody's name is not on here, but it's 77, 78 or 76, 77.
76, 77.
76, 77. It had Al King, Phil Kidd from Taft, Kenny Page from McKee, who went to Ohio State, Ron Flair, Artie Green from Taft. We had Rolando Blackman, Raleigh Clarita from Erasmus.
That's the team we beat.
Erasmus?
Got you. Sure. We beat Erasmus.
Got you. Now, because I'm reading down the list. Bob McNeely, Willie Sims, Mikey Edwards from Clinton, second team. Larry Washington Canarsie, Artie Gaddy from Erasmus, Carl Button Gann from Beach Channel, Kevin Brown, and Mike Napolitano.
Napolitano.
That's right. Napolitano, my bad.
That's okay.
That 13. You right on. You were right on.
I take it.
But if you look at the list of players, it's crazy. And then you got Vernon Moore, Taft. These are honorable mentions. Clarence Jones. These are just honorable mentions.
No, that year it was tough. It was a lot of good ball.
Oh man, that's a lot of ball players.
And then I was honored to play in the Wheelchair Classic, which was like, you know, the ultimate, like the McDonald's All-American game for New York players, you know.
Listen, tell people they don't know the Wheelchair Classic is not around anymore. They need to bring it back.
Well, we got to talk to Mr. Carter about that.
Yeah, definitely.
But
now,
yeah, that was an honor.
Let's talk about that. And who did you play with? I knew you played with the Bronx. Who's the coach? Yeah.
Since I was from the Bronx and played for Bronx High School, I played on the Bronx All-Star team. And Queens had.
Oh, right, because the Goat. Excuse me, I got it confused with the Go to Hoops. Because the Go to Hoops, they bought AAU team. They had the Gauchos, the Riverside.
No,
but the Wheelchair,
yeah.
You had to be from the borough. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I noticed the Riverside, the Manhattan team, they had players from different boroughs playing on that team.
Yeah.
But yeah, that game, those games were really competitive. We didn't do well, you know, because Queens.
Who won it that year?
I think Brooklyn, Al King and them, they were stacked. They had Rolando and Al.
Yeah. Oh, please.
You know, and those guys, Riley Clarita and
yes,
and Washington, and you know, Brooklyn was always stacked.
Wow.
But yeah, that was a great experience just to be in that arena and that venue. They gave us shirts and sneakers, and you know, Tom Konkowski was there. You know, a lot of big time people were at those games.
Did you guys have to write the essay as well?
No, we went to the hospital.
Well, everybody had to go to the hospital, right? Everybody had to go to the hospital. That's part of it.
I don't recall. Maybe we did have to write something, but I really don't recall having to write something. But I know we went to visit the kids at the hospital.
Got you.
And that was televised. I think one of the news stations picked it up, and they came and you know, I got some coverage on TV.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with some shine, right?
Yeah.
Now let's talk about, like, now you wrapping up your senior year, winning city championship, played in a few all-star games, become all-city, all-met. The recruiting process. Let's talk about that, right? And we're going to talk about the SAT exam as well. But let's talk about some of the schools who recruited you before the SAT, you know, score
well, let me tell you,
came about.
To be honest, I didn't get recruited by too many people because schools, because I didn't really know. My coach was holding all of the letters. You know,
hold on, time out. That's the tech right there. Listen, brother, let me explain something to you. You don't know how many guys have came on the show and said the same exact thing. The same exact thing. our coaches was holding the letters. Our coach wouldn't let me read the letters. I didn't know who was recruiting me. Why do you think that happened?
Listen, all I know is that after that game at St. John's, God's honest truth, a coach came up to me, legendary coach, and he wanted me to go to his school. Okay? Never got a letter from him, but he came to me. He said, I want you to go to his school. So I want you to go to my school. You know, and he grabbed me, told me I had a good game. Dale Brown at LSU wanted me to go to his school. And my coach was right there, and he pulled me away, and, you know, we went to go celebrate. You know, I don't know what happened in that whole transition of things. I don't know I don't know. And I heard
they could have got you. They could have got you set up. They could have got you set up. They could have got you set up, and you know,
well,
if the junior college near the area, and then bring you in the next year. There's so many different ways.
That was the
and from what I'm hearing, a lot of those schools back then, especially the southern schools, the SAT didn't matter. Not for all of them.
And that, I laxed a little bit during my high school years. You know, we go into get a little complacent and lose focus. And the day I had to take the SAT, I was hanging out the night before. So, you know, teenager, not knowing the value of things, and, you know, you just learn. You learn.
Listen, it was very important that, you know, us guys in high school, you know, be prepared for the SAT exam. And I love New York City, but our education system didn't prepare us as well for that.
You know, and I learned it a little later. You know, I went to Fordham Upward Bound, and they had programs where they give you the PSATs and the SATs, but they didn't set me up like that in my school.
They didn't do that at a lot of schools. I'm just keeping it real with you, Mike. They didn't do that at a lot of schools. Now they have it where kids take it early. At least you know what the exam looked like and what to expect. But when you get hit with that exam and you're looking at Korean or a German language, because that's what it looked like. It just looks foreign to a lot of us inner city kids.
Well, you know, but even though that happened, I still was able to get to a college.
That's right.
Tiny happened to be coaching a player that played for Dowling, and he told me that would be a good situation for me. So I went with it. Tiny's always been in my ear, and when he told me that, I went there. They showed me a good time. You know, they showed me the campus and everything. They had a winning program. They traveled abroad. My coach was involved in camps overseas and had hooks, you know, connections overseas with pro teams. So I thought it would be a good situation for me. They traveled a lot. They played in a pretty good NAIA conference. They made it to the Nationals like 4 or 5 years in a row. So Dowling was a good choice for me, although it wasn't D1. NAIA, D1, not the same, but, you know, we beat some D1 teams. We were that good.
You had the legendary Tiny Archibald in your ear giving you advice on a school to go to. Who gets that? Who gets that? It's usually the local guy or someone who has pull. But when you got a guy who said, you know what, I got a place for you, and then you make it your home, and then you have success there, can you ask for anything else to get to graduate?
And I found out later on in the years after speaking to Tiny that he was at that game that I played at St. John's, the city championship game. He was there. I didn't know that. And many other people that saw me play, you know, that they were there.
Hey, Mike, the city championship in New York City is a big deal. Okay? It's still to this day huge, right? Look, for Telfair, you had Derek Jeter, Jay-Z, and all these people going to the game. It's a huge deal.
And as a referee, it's a huge deal to make it to the finals also, to work those games.
Oh, yeah. I bet it is.
And I was fortunate enough to be one of the only players, I guess, to ever referee a high school championship and play in a high school championship.
Very, very rare. Not too many people get a chance to do that.
Yeah, so that I was fortunate enough to have that under my belt.
Now with Dowling, is it a year or a game that kind of stands out where you said, you know what, man, I still remember that game. I was on fire, or
It
I
was my
had this many assists.
games. It was my first game. I thought we won the championship because I'm playing against Hofstra, which is a D1 school, and we beat them. And I thought it was the best thing ever, like NAIA D2 school, whatever, to beat a D1 school.
So you reacted like Magic Johnson did
Yeah,
when his first
yeah,
game.
yeah. I mean, they even mentioned it in the newspaper clip that I went walking off the court with my number one. We won. And then there was another game I had my career high in college. I didn't really score that many points, but I had a good game against St. Thomas Aquinas. Stacked. They always had good teams.
They always, yes.
Yeah, if we didn't win the conference, they won it. Or Bloomfield, there was always very competitive. But yeah, St. Thomas Aquinas had players, and I had a really good game. Their coach liked me. He was the coach at Utah. Can't remember his name right now. I'm stumped. But he wound up going to Utah to coach at St. Thomas Aquinas.
Wow. Now, when you was in college, you guys went overseas to play?
Yeah, my coach had set up camps out in Finland and Sweden, and that was his way of getting players to the school. We had Finnish players, Swedish players, Dutch players, Puerto Rican players, so we had an international team.
Wow.
So we traveled abroad for 2 weeks, played against the national teams out there, just showcase games. But I never was able to get a contract or play out there, but I played against some of the pro teams during those 2 weeks.
Yeah, because I couldn't figure out whether it was, and after I read the bio again, you did say the team traveled out overseas
And then
to play.
One year in our conference championship, we lost to St. John Fisher to go to the Nationals, where the NAIA play at Kemper Arena.
Right.
That's our dance, the NAIA dance. We lost, but it was brought to our attention that we were invited to a Mexico City for a jamboree tournament representing the East Coast of the NAIA schools. So you had an East Coast, West Coast, North and South school, 4 teams from the United States, 4 teams from Mexico, and they had a jamboree tournament out there for a week. So,
and how you guys do?
Oh, we got blown out. The Mexicans kicked our butt, man.
Wow.
But we were partying and drinking that good Mexican beer and having a good time like college kids do. But yeah, we had fun. It was fun, but we lost.
And at the end of the day, those experiences, right?
Yeah.
Right? Those experiences become the highlight of your life. And when
still
you get older, it's not about whether you win or lose, because most players don't get to do that.
No, but it was the way we looked at them, like we gonna blow them out. They didn't look like ballers, but they spanked us, kid.
Oh man, that's funny.
You can't underestimate in basketball.
Oh, you cannot. Listen, I tell kids all the time, right? I coach as well. And I had teams that would look at the other team's left line and they see guys dunking, and then they get scared and they realize these dudes don't have any fundamentals.
Right.
They can dunk. They're scaring you. Ooh, they're on the left line looking pretty. But when it's time to play, a couple of my players come back to the huddle and be like, Coach, these guys had me scared. I said, that's why I tell y'all don't look at nobody's left line.
Right. Well, I witnessed something like that at the March Madness. I was following St. Peter's because my good friend Butch Lee's son plays for them. And we're watching the Kentucky layup line. And now they were going crazy, dunking, jumping out the gym. And we're like, wow, do we really have a chance against them? And they beat them.
Lo and behold.
That's behold, right. They beat them. So that layup line, don't pay attention to that.
That's right. And it's the reason why the coaches tell you not to watch.
Kids back in the day. the layup line kids. Don't pay attention to them.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. And then you, as a referee, I know you saw it all, right? Like,
Yeah.
how did you get in? What inspired you to become a referee? I know you talked about your,
Well,
your
we had,
freshman year
we had
preparing you.
Well, we had Hugh Evans in the neighborhood. He was an inspiration. My coach inspired me at Clinton. He was a referee himself, and he taught an elective class, sports officiating. So I learned how to umpire softball, umpire football, and basketball. And then once we learned the rules, he put us out there. He sent us to junior high schools or middle schools to referee, those type of games and make $5 or $10. Put some money in our pocket, as a high school kid. And then I was just reffing in tournaments, summer leagues. Miles Dortch always gave me work at City Wild. And I did intramural tournaments in college. So I was always reffing just to make, some pocket money. And then one of my good friends, Mike Howard, who I worked with at a company later on in life, he said, get your patch, get certified, And then I went to school for it, took the class. And then I think in the mid 90s, it had to be late 80s. I think I've been reffing about 35, 40 years. Certified, but I've been reffing since high school. See, there's a difference. You could be reffing, but not certified. But once I became certified, then I started doing the real games, the high school games. And I believe Felipe might have been one of the first stars that I had reffed, and Marbury, Telfair, you name it. I came across somebody that was, really good. I even ref Ron Artez back in the day, when he was playing for LaSalle. And I've seen them all since Felipe on.
Now, as a referee, are you focused on the game, but are you able to gaze where a player's at by refereeing the game, or you just focused on the game?
Yeah, I'm focused on the game. I kind of know the who's who of ballers, but I don't really put too much, credence or emphasis on that. I just try to stay with my partners and stay on the same page as my partners. I don't get caught up in the hype, put it that way.
Right. Now, explain to everybody the reason why referees are at certain places on the court.
Well, there's angles that you have to get, and there's areas that you're responsible for. In the 3-person, there's 3 different areas of the court that you're responsible for. Those are called primary areas. And then sometimes there's secondary areas where you could come and help. So it's like it's a give and take. Everybody helps one another. But, we pull each other. It's like a rubber band. You always try to stay in that triangle.
Because I noticed the guy at the top, when the ball is, moving down to the court, that guy's go.
Those all the ball handling stuff. The center usually handles stuff around the foul line extended, and then the lead usually takes stuff going to the basket. We have our.
So the guy under the basket is the lead ref.
Yes, the guy under the basket. We call that the lead. Yes.
See, you learn something all the time. I know a lot of you guys and girls on here probably didn't even know that.
No, we all have our own responsibilities. It's not like I could call in your area, you could call in mine. We have our responsibilities, and we try not to have double whistles, or triple whistles. That's a sign that you're not looking where you're supposed to be looking.
Now that you're saying it, I'm thinking about it saying, I don't think I've ever heard referees blow the whistle at the same time. Maybe once or twice, but not that many.
Right. I mean, that's a sign that they're on point pretty much. They know their primary areas of responsibility. And if that's in your area, chances are you got to put air in the whistle. And the other guys kind of look at other parts of the court. And if they see that you might have missed something, then maybe they might come and save the day or make that call. But, it all depends. There's philosophies. There's a lot of nuances of the game that you got to know. And that comes with experience.
Right. Is there a difference between reffing girls and boys?
Well, the rules are much different, but as far as, applying you know.
Give me an example of the rules. Give me an example of the rules and the differences.
Well, girls' rules, as far as like the backcourt, they don't have the 10-second count. They pretty much use the shot clock.
Okay.
You know, so if it's a 30-second shot clock, the referee has to see if they cross the midcourt line by 20 seconds. You know, and they're not, you know, doing the counting and stuff. It's pretty much watching the clock.
And Joe, so y'all don't do that for the boys, even though the boys have a shot clock? The boys have a shot clock as well, right?
Yeah, we have a visible count. You know, we have a visible count. And there's other differences too. There's you know, now in girls you could advance the ball at the end of the game. They have, you know, little things that they incorporated and applied into their game.
Now the boys are 30-second shot clocks as well, correct?
Boys is 35. Yes, 35.
35. So the girls' shot clock is a little shorter because they want the game to move a little bit faster.
Yeah, you got
Got you. Okay.
Yeah, by the way, I retired from officiating a couple of years ago. So
okay. All right.
But I'm still involved in my organization. I'm on a couple of committees. In fact, I just came from a dinner on Wednesday with one of the organizations I'm in.
Okay. Well, did you know that Coach Ray Haskins is now the director of the PSL?
Yes. I got to see him and congratulate him. And Julius Allen got a position in the PSL.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Tiny Morton is the basketball czar. Like they're really trying to make New York City basketball competitive again, where I think they're moving the double A's teams to the A division.
Yeah, there's some changes going on. I mean, I'll become aware of what's going on, you know, as the season progresses. But
yes,
I don't know, you know, the ins and outs, what's going on, but I'll find out.
Okay, cool. So looking back on your career, do you have any regrets?
Yeah, that one or two. You know, I thought maybe I could have gone to 5-star. That's one, you know, but I chose to play in a lot of summer tournaments because they were like so competitive. But 5-star kind of opened up, from the people I spoke to, it kind of opened up your horizons and gave college coaches an idea of who you were, you know, and that helped a lot of the players that went there. And then that SAT, I should have just taken a PSAT the year before and study for the SAT.
But well, I understand the study for the SAT, but if you didn't know about the PSAT,
yeah, right. I mean, no,
if you don't know about it, it's like, you know, that's where the information kicks in.
That's true. And you know, that's that focus thing. You know, when you're 15, 16, you know, you sometimes you lose focus. It happens.
So, is any advice would you give to the young people out there? Let them know a few things that, you know, they need to take serious and why, you know, being a student athlete is important.
Take school serious. Make sure you go to class. You know, I was a teacher, so I always, you know, promoted that. Yeah, just get involved in the school. You know, speak to the guidance counselors, find out about those SAT, PSAT, you know, programs. They have classes now that prepare you for those tests.
Yep.
You know, and I mean that's and as far as being an official, I mean, you know, you could start at an early age, 18, 19. It's very rewarding. The money's good. You know, you get to be on the court with the basketball players. You know, it's fun.
Now, if you pass it at 18,
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
Choice of either becoming a coach, staying in the game after playing. I chose refereeing over coaching. I mean, I always wanted to be a coach, and I still have ambitions to one day be a coach. But, you know, the refereeing part, you know, you're right there on the court. You know, you see the sweat, and you're part of the game. And I get hyped when I used to ref. You know, it's like you almost feel like
you're there, right?
It brings back memories. Like sometimes I even tell the kids, you know, give them props sometimes on the moves they make, or give them a little encouragement sometimes when they're not doing well. You always talking to kids when you're.
And that's another part of referee or officiating that people don't see, the teaching.
I taught a lot of kids while they're playing, the things not to do, control yourself, control your emotions, take a deep breath, don't let the anger get to you. I taught kids out of text a lot.
The good ones do.
You want to diffuse the situation, and manage the game. And as a referee, if you do that, you're doing a good job.
Nice. So, another question about refereeing. If you start at 18, 19 and pass the test, you can go right in officiating high school games?
Yeah, they starting real young these days. And
wow.
The colleges are picking up the young ones. It's a youth movement. I mean, I got dropped in the colleges because they taking the younger guys. We're not getting any younger. The college players are 18, 19, 20, 21 every year. As referees, we getting up there to 40s, 50s, 60s, so got to keep up with those kids. So they trying to keep the younger referees on the court now.
Smart move.
Youth movement now. I see it happening. Even in the NBA, you see a lot of young refs.
Yep. Well, listen, we're going to get into our top five. Hey, Mike, you sailed through a lot of these questions, man, and gave a lot of good answers, but I hope you don't get tripped up on these top fives, all right? You only can name 5. You can't name 6, and there's no 6 man or anybody coming off the bench.
Okay.
All right? And we talked about the first 2 questions, like the whole career, right? Who are the top 5 guys you played with?
Wow. I would say that's a tough one. I'm going to put Angel Cruz up there because he was phenomenal.
Right.
Yeah, I got to put Angel up there. I'll put a guy named Mikey Edwards, my backcourt partner, up there. Mikey was the real deal. So that's 2. There was a guy that didn't play at Clinton or at Taft, but I played with him for the Gauchos. His name was Drew Dowett. I thought he was phenomenal. One of the best players I ever played with. So I got to give Drew props. That's one of the guys I was really happy to play with. Julius Allen, another one. Got to give Julius props. That's my teammate.
That's right. That's 4. You got one more. Hey, listen, I'll tell you, this is the hardest part of the show, Mike. This is the hardest part of the show.
Well, in college, I played with Chris Williams. That's you might know his son. His son is special effects.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, his father's Chris Williams. Chris was All-American at Dowling, so I got to give him props.
Wow. Okay.
That's my 5. I'm sticking to it.
Okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Salute to that 5 right there. Salute to that 5. Top 5 guys you played against.
Ooh. I could probably name the same guy.
Come on, you
know how it goes. It's entertaining.
Right.
We play, but damn, I got to go to Brooklyn and grab at least 2 guys out there. Well, that game against Canarsie, I can't really say I really played against Kurt Reddick because I got in garbage time. But I'll give Kurt his props.
Okay.
Let me see. Earl Fuller.
Yes, that's my guy. Another friend of the show. He's been in the show. Yes, that's my guy.
Earl Fuller. I had a hard time against him.
He's tough. He was tough. Even when I started playing Unlimited and had to face him, he was still a dog. Yeah,
Earl was tough. Got to give Artie Green because, Artie was All-American that year. Damn. That guy, Kenny Page, was the real deal, too.
Yes, he was. I heard. Staten Island legend, yes.
Damn. And I played against Al King in the wheelchair classic. So
some legendary ball players, Mike.
yeah, I would say. So that's my 5 I played against, and there's probably dozens more on
But
both.
you only can name 5. Now I want to know top 5 players in Clinton history.
Damn.
We talking about 18 championships, Hall of Famers and all.
I'm gonna put Butch, Bear, Butch Lee, Steve Shepard, Bear, Tom Henderson. We gotta go with the old school guy. God, can't think of his name now.
You got 3.
Dolph Shays.
Dolph Shays, definitely.
Top 50.
Yes, Hall of Famer. That's right.
All right, so
and you got 2 top 50s.
Oh, Tiny and Dolph, yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's your 5.
that was mentioned before that there was one of the only high schools that had 2 players.
Yep.
That 50. Damn, who's the 5th, man? Come on.
That was, I think you named 5. You had Dolph, you had
Butch, Bear.
Yeah. Tiny.
And let's go with damn.
You said Tiny, right? What about Willie Worsley?
Oh, let's go Willie Worsley.
Isn't he still around?
Yeah, he coaches up in Westchester County in one of those schools, high schools up there.
I would love to get him on the show. Trust me, when I watched that movie about their run and what they was able to accomplish.
Classic movie, Glory Road.
Yes, one of my favorite basketball movies.
Yeah, I mean, I might have missed. Sorry for the fellas from Clinton if I missed your name, but
that's okay. This usually get guys in trouble. Guys usually call me after this and like, yo, Pooh, y'all got everybody blowing up my phone right now. Talk about why I didn't name them. So hey. All right. Last top 5. This may get you in trouble. Especially with you guys from Clinton. Top 5 players in New York City history.
Kareem, Tiny, Connie Hawkins. I'm going Butch.
Butch Beard, he's getting a lot of love.
Gotta go Butch and then I heard, damn, there's so many. God. I mean, I could go Lenny Wilkins.
Yes.
I could go, Bob Cousy. We could go all over the place with that.
You see? But you only can name 5.
But I get 5. All right, so I got Tiny, Kareem, Connie. Damn.
You said Butch?
Butch. Let's go Bernard King.
Yo, he had Lenny, Bob Cousy. He said, you know what? Bernard King is right in there. Salute to Bernard and the whole King family and Albert as well. Yeah, and Gerald, who I played against.
Could be wrong, I mean, those are Hall of Famers. They're all Hall of Famers. But, I got to see Bernard play up close and personal.
Right.
Yeah, he was the real deal, definitely.
Wow. Well, listen, man, I want to thank you for coming on the show. You was a great guest. I want to thank, your special lady who helped you out, right? Because without her, we wouldn't have never even got this prior.
Did that technological hookup.
Hey, listen, this is what they did for, and besides one of the things. But I want to say thank you and salute to you. But hey, Mike, man, it was a pleasure having you on.
I'm honored, man. Thanks so much for the time. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed myself.
Nah, I did too, man. It was a lot of fun, man. And listen,
anything you need from me.
Listen, I'm glad. That's what I'm telling you. I'm going to be hitting you up.
I'll get Willie. I'll get Floyd. I'll get Bear, Butch. Who you want on the show?
Let them up. That's who I want, and we'll set them up and we'll spread them out. Because the more Bronx guys, the better. Because Bronx basketball definitely need to be highlighted, and those guys need their flowers. So Let's make that happen.
All right, and I'm sorry if I didn't mention anybody, but I mean, maybe the next time.
Listen, anytime you want to come on, you got something you want to talk about, just let me know. Any last words before we go?
Oh man, parting words. I'm humbled and honored. Salute to you for choosing me. I really appreciate that, and you made my day. I really feel good about myself now.
That's right, and it's gonna go down in basketball history, man. So definitely, and I'm glad you was able to come on. I appreciate you, and I had a lot of fun, man.
All right, it was fun, man. It was real. Thank you.
No doubt, man. I appreciate you.
Okay, take
All
care.
right, yep. Oh, he said, please get Floyd Lane on soon. Floyd Lane. I know you still there. I'm bringing you back. Floyd Lane. My guy Eric Kennedy always giving that information. Thank you. I'm going to work on that for you, E. Hey, what a wonderful show. See, I like to mix my guests up, right? You have guys who have been professional ball players, stars in their own right, and here you go right here.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I really come back on and say this, but he mentioned Floyd Lane, and I was like, I know that name is like so legendary.
Oh no, well Floyd, I'll tell you, when I played ball as a elementary school, parochial school player, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, I would go to PS18 where he ran the gym. He was playing in his 50s. Still playing, coached, mentored, always was there for you, always smiling, coached high school, coached at City College. The guy, he got a bad rap, with that CCNY,
And this is why I need that history right there. We need to talk about that.
He got a bad rap, I mean, I don't know how things went down, but he kind of got blackballed in my eyes. He would have been pro.
They did it to Connie Hawkins too when he was at Iowa.
That City College team won this NCAA and the NIT. All those guys were all American, very good ball players. And none of them really went NBA. Eastern League maybe, but that scandal that they had, I guess the temptation or whatever was presented to them got the best of them. But I still feel he should get props for all he's done for the community.
Please, they say he's 90 years old now. If he's able to,
No, he's like 94. I've been going to his birthday parties lately. I think he's 93, 94. Yeah, I mean, he got a bad rap, but he's been Tiny's mentor. He's been many of our mentors in the neighborhood, and well loved, well received. He should be in any type of Hall of Fame there is in New York. He should be on it.
Well, I'm gonna make it my point to do a show and honor those guys. I'm gonna do my due diligence to even learn more about, because I know about it, but when I do a show, I like to go in depth. So I'm going to do my due diligence and figure this whole thing out about this whole scandal. And we're going to do a whole show about it. And maybe we can get a couple of guys on and really do these guys some justice.
Yeah. I'm just talking on the surface. I don't really know the ins and outs.
Right. But I'll get the information. I'll spread it. And, I want to get a couple of guys. We can come up. I can have as many people on here if I want. So we can make that happen, brother. All right?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. I got you.
All right.
All right. Peace. See, that's what we talked about right there. That brotherhood. I got my guy E. He's typing away, putting things in the comment box. And our guest, my guy Mike. You can go through a process of basketball. Start off being the manager, coming off the bench, then working your way to JV, have an awesome time, and playing, but then you go on varsity and got to start all over again. A lot of guys these days aren't built for that. On each level, you're going to have to start over, rebuild yourself. That's how this thing works. You just don't go from one level to the next. There's only special players that's able to move on and do that. And those players who don't get the opportunity, when they think so, if they keep working, like my guy Mike did, you keep working, you push yourself to the limit. And hopefully you'll find yourself in his situation, being in the city championship, winning MVP, becoming all city and all metro. And then the world is your oyster, as long as you take care of the classroom. So with saying that, there's no limit to what you can do on the court. And if that don't work out, you can always become an officiator, scorekeeper. You know, there's guys right now that's keeping the score at Madison Square Garden and the Barclays Center for the Knicks and the Nets, and they got the best seat in the house. They never get injured. And they're able to provide for themselves and their family. So think about that. You know, you could be on the floor officiating. You could be a high school ref, college ref, or even make it to the league. So the sky's the limit. Never sell yourself short and never give up on yourself, because you never know what you can make or accomplish. So, with saying that, I am your host, Glenn Pooh Harding, and you've been watching Basketball Heads Live on NYC Basketball Network. We are the official home for New York City basketball. Peace.